Hello friends, I am Chaitali Bagh. Welcome to EPG Pathshala. Today we are going to discuss modern media for development communication. This lecture is a part of your paper Development Communication. In this lecture, we will discuss two of the landmark projects of development communication using modern media. SITE, that is Satellite Instructional Television Experiment, was the world's first techno-social experiment in 1975. Kheda Communication Project, KCP, was probably the first narrowcasting project for development communication using television. This lecture will focus on both of these projects in order to understand how modern media like television and satellite technology had been used to tackle issues of malnutrition or agriculture. Satellite Instructional Television Experiment, SITE, was the largest international collaborative venture in technological endeavor ever carried out any country including India in 1975-76, more than 40 years ago. SITE for the first time opened up the doorway for the whole world to receive television signals regardless of distance and topography. SITE was conducted in 2,330 villages scattered in 20 districts and in 6 states of India for a period of one beginning 1st August 1974 to July 31st, 1976. SITE involved a team of engineers, scientists, social scientists, creative persons, television producers, managers, and whole host of professionals. SITE was conducted in 2,330 villages. The target number was 2,400 villages, scattered in 6 economically backward states of India, namely Bihar, Orissa, Andhra Pradesh, Karnataka, and Rajasthan, spread over 20 districts, on average 3-4 districts per state. In addition, Gujarat district Kheda, now bifurcated into Khada and Anand districts, was included as a part of SITE for setting up rediffusion center. SITE also helped conduct training of primary school science teachers for 2 weeks, twice during the experiment year in almost all SITE villages. Let us now discuss some of the salient features of SITE. SITE was truly a joint intergovernmental, interdisciplinary and multidisciplinary experiment involving ministers of information and broadcasting, education, agriculture, health and family planning, apart from 6 state governments and administration. Specific responsibility of ISRO involved development of direct reception system DRS for community television viewing, installation, repair and maintenance community television and DRS, and management of ground stations for satellite operations. In addition, ISRO was also responsible for overall management of operations and interface with NASA. ISRO took upon itself the responsibility of social research and evaluation of SITE and utilization study. The rural viewers who participated in SITE were first generation television viewers and not previous television exposure. In this respect, SITE was a leap forward in the use of advanced satellite technology for rural primary education and development. In 1969, Dr. Vikram A. Sarabhai, chairman of Indian Space Research Organization, signed an agreement with the US Space Agency NASA Administrator Dr. Thomas O. Paine to cooperate in an experiment using a space satellite ATS-F for direct instructional television telecast for rural development of India, skipping urban India. In this respect, it was a leap. For the first time, the satellite was to be used for direct broadcasting. The conception of site was truly staggering, as it was committed to provide information and motivation to the farmers who were otherwise living in relative isolation and lacked information for development. Under the agreement, ISRO was to borrow the ATS-6 satellite from NASA for 1 year to conduct the satellite instruction television experiment. ATS-F, after launching of ATS-6 satellite of the United States, which was the first ever direct broadcasting satellite. Direct reception systems for community viewing of the TV programs were installed in 6 states of the country in clusters of about 400 each. The instructional programs were broadcast for 4 hours every day, 1 hour in the morning for school children and the 2 hour in the evening from earth stations in Ahmedabad and Delhi. The programs were made in the 4 state languages and were produced in 4 studios set as especially for sight. Villages in each state, known as clusters, received programs made specially for them in their own language, plus a 30-minute common program meant for all viewers and aimed at promoting national integration. Initiating site, village selection and television installation. Almost 1 year in advance, the site technical and social science research team started village selection and to select 2,400 villages for DRS television installation. After first-hand village visits of over 6,000 villages by the village selection team, it was realized that selection of villages was a daunting exercise and extremely difficult to identify villages that would fulfill both technical and social preconditions of the selection criteria. Selection of the villages was itself a major task, since it required physically ascertaining availability of necessary facilities like a public building in the village, availability of electricity, clear look angle to the satellite from the building. The final village selection was carried out in Ahmedabad after further data analysis. In retrospect, it can be said that even after multiple village visits of over 6,000 villages, it seemed difficult to achieve the target of 2,400 villages due to several technical and social constraints. So, the technical team was forced to relax few selection criteria and extend the period of village selection. So, DRS installation was carried out in few places in parallel of village selection, which was achieved in time. Every DRS was technically tested along before the start of the site. The DRS community TV sets were all installed in public buildings in the villages, in most cases in the schools. While in 5 states, DRS television sets were deployed in electrified villages, about 150 battery operated sets were deployed in no electrified villages of Odisha as part of site experiment. It should be mentioned that even in electrified villages, the school buildings were not electrified, and getting a power connection to village schools were a major job in itself. The significance of the battery operated sets becomes clear when one recalls that over half the villages in India were not electrified in 1975, and that even in the electrified villages, load shedding and power outages were frequent. State Site Office. In each state, a site office was set up to deploy, maintain, and operate the community television sets under the leadership of an engineer in charge, fully equipped with 6 jeeps and technical staff. He was often supported by social research team who were attached with the state office to carry out social evaluation research in the state. The maintenance system was found to be extremely successful and ensured very high availability of functional television in site villages. Since several organizations were involved in site and played important role, the overall system management function was prime responsibility of the Indian Space Research Organization. That included, apart from the major and specific responsibilities for all the hardware elements, production of science education programs for children and social evaluation of site. Social research and evaluation of site. ISRO also took up responsibility for the technical and social evaluation of site. While technical evaluation in terms of performance was carried out with great rigor, absence of any social science team in site and also little interest shown in the country of site, social evaluation, ISRO quickly created a young team of social scientists. The social evaluation team of ISRO carried out multiple tasks apart from carrying out summative evaluation of site. They provided valuable inputs to the program producers by way of providing audience profile and needs assessment study of each state, carried out pre-production, pre-testing or input research for program production. During site year, first-hand field-based viewers, feedback was collected after transmission by social research team and feedback reports were provided to ISRO and Doordarshan. In addition, NCERT carried out social impact of site on children, especially of the morning transmission, apart from teacher training and few program production. Bangalore University and Planning Commission also conducted social evaluation site, though on limited scale. Through a large number of studies conducted by ISRO and also by others, the impacts of site on various facets of village life are available even after 40 years and are part of classroom teaching and research. Collaborating agencies. Doordarshan, prime mover of production. The major responsibility for television program production was that of Doordarshan, the National TV Broadcast Organization, which was under the Ministry of Information and Broadcasting, Government of India at that time. Base production units were established to facilitate site production in Delhi, Bhubaneswar and Hyderabad. NCERT, the Ministry of Education through NCERT CET New Delhi, took specific responsibility to follow up or utilization of the school programs and for conducting teacher training program. As a result of this, almost 50,000 teachers were retrained in 2-week sessions during site. The state governments concerned, of course, played a major role. Other central ministries that got involved in site include Health and Family Planning, Agriculture and Rural Development, apart from several institutions both in India and abroad. Program telecast. The telecast of 4 hours was divided into 1 hour morning telecast for school children and 2 hours for adult viewers. School children. Out of 90 minutes morning telecast, the 22 minutes program each in Hindi, Kannada, Odia and Telugu were telecast on each school day from 10 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. for the school children in the age group 5 to 12 years. The evaluative studies indicated that the viewers consisted of boys and girls of class 1st to 5th and even of higher classes. On an average, about 2 programs of 20 minutes duration were telecast and remaining time was used for showing fillers in each language. The maximum telecast time was devoted to science education. The other broad areas covered were health, entertainment, nutrition, national teaching of handicrafts and other awareness programs. The new toy television, by and large, was viewed often in cramped classrooms sitting on the floor. The average viewer's size was 95 per TV set. The smallest average viewers were 70 in Orissa and highest 114 in Bihar and Madhya Pradesh schools. 2 major holidays spanning over 2 weeks during sight year were utilized for science education teachers training. It was estimated that the total telecast for children in the school was between 80 to 90 hours in each of the 4 languages. The post-telecast interaction between teachers and students varied from state to state, highest being in non-Hindi states compared to Hindi-speaking states. There were 3 conclusions that were drawn as a result. Children's sight viewing. These were: the older children began to seek more information. Their general understanding and information seeking behavior had changed. There was a gain in language development of children due to television exposure, and in-depth holistic study carried out provided evidence that the fear and panic that used to grip children before speaking or answering any question reduced due to television exposure. Multimedia training for school teachers. The training program was designed by Educational Technology Center CET, later designated as CIET, NCERT, New Delhi. The training module, among other things, included sight television viewing, so the training was organized around sight villages and popularly known as television training. The training was carried out twice during sight year. First, in October 1975 for 12 days and second in July 1976 for 15 days. In both training, the entire morning telecast was utilized in 4 languages. It was followed by 2 hours experimentation and 30 minutes reading. 10 teachers with the help of 1 monitor were given training in first phase. In the evening, on an average, 172 viewers in front of 20-inch black and white television that consisted of adults and children of both sexes sat to view television as a community regardless of religion or caste. The telecast language was single most important factor that affected the viewer's comprehension. Viewing sight opened a new chapter in rural India as it was directly available to all villagers wanting to watch television. Though viewing was conditioned by other social barriers, it did not come on the way viewing. Impact of sight was considerably high among female viewers as compared to male viewers, especially in health and nutrition. And so was adoption of health practices. Viewing did not change family planning adoption behavior. So was case with agriculture. In-depth analysis indicated increase in agricultural adoption. So was the case in animal husbandry. Television viewing, it seemed to be positively influencing overall modernity of the rural viewers regardless of age, in which even the illiterate male and female viewers gained. One of the major gains of sight was developing qualitative methods suitable for India and new culturally compatible research methods of communication research. Lessons from sight. The first lesson learned was that it is possible to deploy, operate and maintain community TV sets and DRS even in a remote, culturally diverse and geographically different areas of a country, and that too with an availability of 80 to 90%. Second is that substantial gains were possible in the areas of health, hygiene and nutrition. The most dramatic gains were registered by female viewers, particularly illiterates. Despite in-depth case studies of innovations adopted in agriculture as a result of TV programs, a large-scale survey did not show statistically significant gains. Overall, sight established that the extension of communication infrastructure to remote areas is not only feasible, but that it can contribute concretely to promoting national development. The end-to-end approach of Dr. Sarabhai is evident from the fact that ISRO undertook not only the task of establishing Earth stations, the developing direct systems, their deployment and maintenance was also involved in program planning, production, transmission, feedback and evaluation. The purpose of getting involved end to end was to understand the requirements at each stage to make the technology most effective. Kheda Communication Project (KCP) was initiated as a part of Satellite Instructional Television Experiment (SITE) as a limited rebroadcast system that could be installed in small towns. UNDP provided one low-power transmitter which was installed at Pij in the village Kheda district, Gujarat, to cover the entire district of Kheda, now bifurcated into two districts, namely Kheda and Anand. The transmitter was linked to Site Studio and Earth Station complex so that it could relay local programs originated from the studio or the central satellite program station received from Delhi Earth Station. KCP had about 600 community TV sets installed in Kheda villages. The responsibility of producing development-oriented programs was that of the ISRO, along with repair and maintenance of TV sets. KCP transmission of the local programs was started in 1975 along with SITE and continued until 1989. Development programs were produced by ISRO, what was known as hardcore areas of development like agriculture, health, animal husbandry, as well as on social issues like untouchability, women's status, children programs, to mention a few. Most of the programming effort followed was in the regular and continuous story on the same issue or serious mode and were produced using the team mode of production. After extensively studying the audience needs and with the participation of the audience. In the Indian television history, this could be said as the beginning of television serial tradition that were followed by Doordarshan and other television channels. The television medium was extensively used for problem solving of the audience. The method followed was to record the problems of the rural audience and take these to the decision makers and telecast the programs, or bring the villagers and the decision makers together to discuss the problems so a meaningful resolution could be found. Kheda TV had a definite purpose, like to promote rural development and promote social change. It was therefore decided to lay down a credo, a statement that would guide the work and be the basis of all productions. Excerpts of credo read as follows. In trying to accelerate development, communication can play a very major role. Television in particular can be a powerful tool in creating a climate for development. Our attempt in Kheda will be to use TV and also to supplement it by other means for development in the broadcast meaning of the team. Concretely, the attempt will be to focus on the oppression and bondages in the present social and economic system in such a way as to heighten understanding. Second, mobilize the community and the individual himself to break away from these bondages. Number 3, promote self-reliance among the individuals and the community. Number 4, involving a reduction in the apathy in dependence on God or others. Number 5, improvising and an optimal use of local resources. Number 6, necessitating a cooperative spirit and willingness to risks. Number 7, educate the community, particularly the deprived, about their duties and rights, including minimum wages, etc. Number 8, provide utility programs in areas like agriculture, animal husbandry, health, family planning, crafts and skills, functional literacy, etc., so as to improve the social and economic condition of the masses. Number 9, broaden the horizon of the viewers by showing them persons, places and events outside their immediate environment. Number 10, improve horizontal communication between the village communities and vertical communication between the masses and decision makers. Number 11, inculcate a scientific temper among the younger generation by improving the educational level of children, particularly in the areas of science and mathematics. Prime target audience was the lower class or castes, who are the most oppressed and who need the catalytic input that will help them to raise themselves. Accordingly, programs, content, presentation, etc. will be designed keeping this in the mind. In keeping with the overall development philosophy, the focus was on the objectives of development and not on program production. The total progress production process was designed with this perspective. The programs were need-based and meticulously planned and examined or tested for their reference and acceptability. The regular system of feedback was part of the total communication process. This feedback from the village audience was given to all the producers so that their programs could be tuned to audience needs, tastes and reactions. In addition, occasional summative social evaluations were carried out to assess and determine the impact of specific television series or programs and overall impact of television. Some of the results of KCP were well documented by outside researchers and media experts. According to one observer, the experience of KCP comes with a message to the Indian scene. The attempt to use TV in a vigilant role guarding the rights of the totally helpless, giving strength where strength is needed, has at last proved that it is possible for TV to fulfill its role in our conditions. Another observer from the US, John Reilly, Executive Director for Global Village, reported, "The US has a great deal to learn about effective use of the local programming. The amazing clarity of purpose of the Kera experiment should be instructive. Perhaps the Kera experiment is unique and not easily transferred, but we feel an exchange of views on this product could prove mutually beneficial." KCP clearly provided many insights. Some of these were local television media can act as an effective channel of two-way communication by taking the problems and concerns the audience to be decision makers. The involvement of the audience with the television medium and its credibility greatly increase when the television medium deals with issues of immediate concern to the audience. Communication research can help in building systems sensitive to the audience needs. It also helps in taking a systematic approach to programming, thereby increasing television effectiveness. The intensive research-based team mode cannot be undertaken for all the programs, but can be effectively undertaken for a selected series. It should therefore be used in important areas of programming. Organizing the community viewing situation is not easy. A number of programs, including maintenance and social issues, disrupt community viewing. However, community viewing appears to work with homogeneous groups. It is advisable to organize community viewing around homogeneous groups. In 1985, the Kera Communications Project received the IPDC UNESCO Prize for Rural Communication. Summary. Let us now try and summarize what we discussed in the lecture. We got familiarized with the history of use of modern media for development communication. Such experiments in the past laid foundation for use of modern media for communicating development to large masses of the society. Eventually, projects like GramSat, which is Grameen Satellite, JDCP, Jabua Development Communication Project, based on SITE and KCP, took development communication to a new level. Do attempt the questions in the self-evaluate quadrant. For further reading suggestions, please refer to the third quadrant. Thank you.